Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle. So I promised you guys a video talking about my deliveries. I have two babies and they were born within a 2-year period. I was away from home and I want to talk a little bit more about that. Having babies in foreign countries with minimal family members or friends around. So just some background. My husband and I lived in Qatar. We flew my grandmother up for the birth of the baby because she was there when I was born. So it's only right that she was there when my baby was born. And it was a positive experience overall. I went in, uh, into the space with the birth plan. I printed so many of them. I wanted delayed cord clamping, and I had a whole long list of things that I wanted. I took a USB stick and I filled it with all my wonderful serene music, and I had this idea of what my delivery was going to be like. And guys, it's good to have plans, but sometimes when you're going into these situations, I would suggest that you see them more as guidelines, because you could just be setting yourself up for disappointment. I got to the active labor stage very quickly. I felt some pain, got to the hospital, and then not long after I was in active labor. And it really hurts, guys. I mean, it hurts. Not to put anyone off, it's really worth it, but it does hurt. So that shocked me to my core. So I was like, birth plan out the window. I really couldn't have bothered. I couldn't have cared less. I walked in there so polite, so smiling at everyone. And when I was like peaking with my pain during my labor, I had no regard for anyone or anything. My husband and I are so lovely to one another, but that day I was like, don't breathe on me. Yeah. So that's how that went. But overall, look, after you have a baby, it is nice to have your friends and family show up with balloons and cards and flowers. And um, I basically had my wonderful colleagues at the time, and I had a few close friends and my grandmother. And the having a baby at that time felt so personal to me and my husband and I, that we really enjoyed the privacy, even though it probably would have been nice to have everyone around. Yeah, so it bringing the baby home from the hospital does feel a bit strange, because it's like, okay, they were helping you in the hospital. Okay, my baby never slept in the nursery. My baby slept with me since she was born, and she was left in my room. And we had a lactation consultant come in and help us with certain things, but it was our baby. But then they send you home with this baby, and you're like, okay, it's coming home. And then the first night it gets there, and then you keep checking to see if it's alive. I know everyone says this, but it's like a real thing, guys. And you sort of have to figure things out on your own, and you're not surrounded with culture, because there are cultural practices after you have a baby. Some women can't get up for 10 days. Some women have to only eat warm food for the first month. There's many little things that you do miss out on if you have a baby away from home. So do keep that in mind. For me, it wasn't quite a big deal because I had my own idea of how I wanted to do things, and it worked out well. My grandmother was there though, so she could say, okay, look, try this or try that, and that was very, very helpful. And I also had my mother on video call all the time, 24/7, and we still do it even though we're in the same city, because it's helpful. But it is something to think about, something to consider. The other thing is, a pro, not that this is a pro and cons list, but a very big pro was that it gave my husband a chance to bond with the baby from the beginning. I think, particularly where I'm from, women, mothers, mother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, sisters, even neighbors, females, they sort of fill the space around the baby. And I've seen other situations where it's difficult for the male to like find um, his purpose in the whole story at the beginning. So my husband like knew, like I fed and he burped. I would change a diaper, he'd change a diaper. If I needed anything or to go anywhere, he'd be the only parent there eventually after my grand left. So he'd have to hold the baby. And so from the beginning they bonded. The second baby I had in China, I arrived in China pregnant and I really struggled to find um, a, a hospital and a doctor that would actually take me at that point because there's like lists and waiting lists. But I found a great hospital which wasn't far from home and it was actually a fantastic package. And then now we are faced with a new challenge because there's no family and friends and we have a little girl. So how are we going to do this? So they were very accommodating. We had a private room with the delivery. It was a scheduled induction, and the reason why we scheduled the induction was because my husband worked. So I couldn't just go into spontaneous labor, and the previous delivery went so fast. I think the whole thing was like 4.5 hours that we didn't know how soon the second one was going to come. And then we had to leave. I couldn't just travel with suitcases and lure my baby girl by myself because we just don't know what would happen. So we scheduled the induction. We arrived there in the morning at 9 and all of us were put in the same room. Of course, they were all scrubbed up, with sanitized gear. And we brought snacks and we brought movies on a USB stick. And I was in the one bed, and the other section of the room was like very lounge, like there was a big screen TV and couches, and the nursing staff were fabulous. And then the pain for an induction, like a medical induction, is way different to a spontaneous labor, guys. The first time was sore, but I mean, I didn't ask for epidural. Like, I got over it. The second time, it felt like I was about to explode. And I wasn't even like far when the checked me. I was like 4 centimeters. So I was like, epidural right now. No questions asked. And let me tell you guys, that anesthetist was fabulous. He put the needle in my back. If you're squirmish, I'm sorry. But he put the needle in my back and I felt nothing. I don't know if it was because of the sore contractions, but I felt nothing. And then I was like, is there epidural now? I was just like putting everyone in their place. You stand there, you do that, don't touch me. And then all of a sudden, I could still feel my legs and my toes and my feet, but there was no pain. And then, literally an hour later, they're like, okay, the baby's gonna come now. Between when active labor began and by the time the baby was born, it was literally like an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes. And my baby girl was in the room. I was like, no, what do you mean? I'm just laying here relaxing. Are you sure? Are you sure? Is it time? They're like, yes. And then my husband just popped over. Obviously, the little girl, my little girl, her back was faced to us and she was watching the screen. So she didn't see anything, but she was there. And then it was just 1, 2, 3 push. And then the baby was out. Like nothing happened. I'm not saying epidural will work for everyone, but it was amazing for me. And the whole experience was great. We had a photographer come in to the room and took some wonderful photos of the baby and us. And it was just really, really a lovely experience. Bringing the baby home was something different. Obviously when you have a new baby, you're tired, the baby doesn't sleep, cluster feeding, and then my husband had to go back to work, like pretty much 2 or 3 days later. And I was left alone with a 2-year-old and a newborn. She wasn't even 2 yet, guys. She was younger than 2. I think she was like 20 months at the time, which is really little. And we did have a helper, but she only spoke Chinese or Mandarin, so that was not helpful. So we had to literally relearn a new schedule, how to get to know one another with a third person, because my husband would go to work. It's only me and my little girl. So having that third person, that little baby, obviously changed everything, and there was no time. I always felt like I never had time with my firstborn. But when there is time, trust me, if you only have one kid, there's time. When there's two, like going to the toilet is mission impossible. But as they've gotten older, and as we've got to know each other better, and we grew into one another, and it was a few weeks, man, when the struggle lasted for about 3 weeks, and then things were fine, and everything was fun and happy. So of course it would have been ideal to have family around, because then you could leave your child with trusted familiar faces, and it would be a lovely experience. And there are other factors. The expat community they were fantastic though. Some people delivered food to our door, and we couldn't cook. By the way, we should make that a part of our culture here. I don't know if other families do it or neighbors, but that's a lovely experience, because normally like your mother comes or family member comes and they just sort you out at home. But if different people drop off a nice meal, that's nice. I like it. We enjoyed that part of the expat community in China, and our friends, they were fabulous. We had a great time with them after visiting with the baby, them holding the baby, me getting a chance to put a little bit of lipstick on, seeing the outside world. But yes, so that's basically in a nutshell how it all went down. If you need the gory details, I can tell you. And if this is ever going to be a video, if there's ever going to be a video about epidural versus no epidural, I'm going to be pro epidural, because I didn't have the issues that other women do, and I wasn't any less disconnected or anything than it would have been with a natural delivery or non-medicated delivery. For me, it was just a very positive experience holistically in both countries, because I was at 2 good hospitals. Please keep in mind that they were not public hospitals. So I can't speak for the entire Chinese country of China. I can't speak for the entire country of Qatar. These were just my personal experiences. But my deliveries were quick and simple. I didn't have to have any instruments or anything crazy. But yes, and now we're here after lockdown. We're still in South Africa and things are going fine. So thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to follow me on social media. You'll find the links below. Thanks so much, guys. Bye bye.